Last year, we treated just a little over 10,000 patients. We are working in 62 municipalities of Honduras. We now have 185 volunteers, and all the relationships and all the networking that's going on here in Honduras. And it's to the point where, I was at lunch with somebody just a few years ago saying that I think I'm done in Honduras because everything's going so well. But as soon as I said that, then more doors open, more doors open.
How's the audio on your side?
Good.
It's good. How's yours? Is it good? Are we rolling? And we're rolling here with Jimmy Rhoton from Excel Global Outreach. Thank you for coming, buddy.
Oh, thank you for the invitation.
How was the ride here?
Horrible.
Yeah.
Construction.
Yeah.
Always construction.
Yeah. It's good that they're advancing, in fixing the roads, but it comes with that hassle of more traffic.
Yeah, it has its price, that's for sure.
And how has the road for Excel Global Outreach been? We can jump right into it. How did you end up here? I don't know if you knew about Honduras before starting doing work down here. How was the process of initiating yourself in Central America?
Well, I'd actually just finished up work with Moody Bible Institute, working in the Ukraine where the wall had fallen, and just teaching critical thinking skills and how to make a decision on your own without having to be told to do something. It was very important for us to do this for the pastors of Ukraine. And when we finished that project, I was actually umpiring a softball tournament. And one of the coaches was a pastor at another church, and he invited me to come down. And I decided I was going to do it. And we came down here in July 16th, 2011. And just what God showed me, I just saw a works going on, and I joined that works.
So Ukraine was a bridge to come into Honduras? Ain't that crazy?
That's a long bridge, ain't it?
Yeah, it is a long bridge. You went all the way there to come all the way down here?
Yeah, but no, once we finished up, I just knew that the Lord was calling me into missions. And so I've been doing mission work since 2001 with the works that we had in Mexico and in the Philippines and then Romania and Ukraine. And then I came here, and I just knew it's where I should be.
What was the initial vision? Because I know sometimes it can merge in the midst of, we talked about this last time, that you have to be adaptable to change and to see what God is doing alongside the way. What was the initial vision? How has that vision merged alongside the way of Excel Global Outreach here in Honduras?
Well, the vision for me was the poorest of the poor, to find the least of these. And when I did some research on Honduras, it was at that time the poorest nation in Central America, maybe even the Americas. I cannot remember at this point in time, but I do believe that it was just Central America. And so when we got down here, I spent the first couple of years just, working in churches, building houses, doing that type of stuff. And then one day I asked the pastor if he would take me to the poorest of the poor. And he took me to a place that really just changed who I am to this very day. I've been used to being around poor people, used to working in very, very poor communities. But this community had no electricity, no running water, no bathrooms. It was just starting at ground zero. And from that point forward, I've just been engaged. So I created a relationship with that president of that community, created a relationship with the mayor, and started working for, growing to where we can get these people educated, starting schools. And along the way, which is just a very broad path, just a lot of doors opened up, and we stepped through each one of them. And that's why we have so many streams of ministry.
And do you remember the name of the community at the time?
El Retiro, I believe is the way you pronounce it.
Is that in Francisco Morazan?
No, that's in Soledad.
And when you say the poorest of the poorest, you haven't seen that back in any of the other countries?
No, not to that level. I have been shown pictures from people going into India, places like that seems to be maybe even more poor, if you can say there's any more poor than that. But these people had really thatched sticks that they'd weave together to make walls, and just lean-to type material on top, and mud floors, no food, no education. I mean, there was nothing going on for them at all. And so that's what, working together with the organization at that time, Network in Honduras, we was able to bring in and bring up that community. And just the satisfaction of seeing things change within the community and watch the economy come up was just overwhelming to me. I mean, of all the success I've had in my life, that is one that just really meant a lot to me. And I wanted to do it again and again and again and again. So we were able to start bringing in medical care, dental care, and the whole entire ministry just grew from that one seed.
So there was no greater sense of fulfillment, not even in business, building, whatever, than being a part of building a difference in someone else's life, which is what you experienced here.
Correct. We started working with the Catholics and the EAR program to bring in the school system, and then vocational programs that they taught electricity, the conversation you and I had about the hammock experience. All that is just complete fulfillment.
And when you say it shaped you or changed your life in a way, it's never gone to, it's never going to be the way it was before. Mm-hmm. How did that experience, or getting exposed to that experience, what was the change within Jimmy?
Well, I mean, most of my friends, most of my business people think I'm a crazy guy. So, I mean, because I gave up.
Good kind of crazy. We're all
crazy. Yeah. There's a song that they can call me a fool, but I just gave it all to him, and everything that I own, everything that I am. And that is the experience today. So moving from the presidential suite at the Hilton Hotel to sleeping in the back of a Prado was radical. It was radical, but at the same time, it's truly what I felt like I was to do. And sure enough, he has blessed us beyond measure of what all is going on out there today. I mean, we now have, what was it? We counted them the other day, 185 volunteers. And then all the relationships and all the networking that's going on here in Honduras. And it's to the point where, I mean, I was at lunch with somebody just a few years ago saying, I think I'm done in Honduras because everything's going so well. But as soon as I said that, then more doors open. So the ministry is going very, very well. Last year, we treated just a little over 10,000 patients, and we are working in 62 municipalities of Honduras.
And I've been part of those type of brigades, but for people out there that don't know, what are the main benefits or aids that you provide for people in different communities? What is the way that you handle your ministry? How have you been projecting it? Because there's a lot of logistics behind. I like a lot the way you work, because it's a very collaborative way. People come together and give their 2 cents. Everyone gives what they can, their time, their expertise, their etc. So if you can go deep a little bit in that.
We'll just go by the next one we got coming up. Zaguagapeca writes an invitation, and they will provide our team a hotel room. They will provide our team food, and all the materials to do the brigade, as far as desk, as far as clean water for our equipment. And so then we have somebody from the United States that rolls in, and they sponsor the price of the medicine, the rental cars, the dental supplies. And so then all together we put it out into a group. In Facebook, we have 3 different groups. We have Team A, Team B, Team C. And so this week is Team B, and we put it out there. And right now we have a full team looking for one more nurse, if anybody's listening to this right now. But we have 5 doctors. We have 3 nurses. We'd like to have one more nurse. And then we have a team of dentists. Everybody volunteers their time. And we come in, and my whole thing is the line, like we saw the other morning when she was with us, 100 people waiting in line for us. That is the key to me. that we have that many people. And then our doctors they'll do gynecology, they'll do pediatrics, they'll do adult family medicine, and then we'll be doing filling teeth, cleaning teeth, extracted teeth, last resort extractions, and also there are specialty things like you saw where they had 2 teeth in the gums, and we'll find help for those. We don't do that in the field, and we'll get that taken care of. So, and we do all this. All this started just to where we can educate the child, because without that education, we could not move any further. So, and then the other thing that we do is to think with the women. So, we're here today, and then Thursday and Friday, we'll be out working with the women, or the moms, I should say, that are inside a house because they're taking care of a special needs child, or a child with special needs, say it appropriately. So,
how did I know sometimes? I mean, I say this a lot. Unity is so strong, but sometimes it can be fragile. How did you manage to get all of these people to work together? Because you have dentists, you have doctors, drivers, interpreters, and they volunteer their time. How did you manage to get them together, or how do you manage that till now? What's the strategy behind it, or how have you managed just to put all of this together and it to work out so smoothly as it works?
Well, to answer your question, I did not. Okay. I feel like the Lord put us all together because we're going towards a common cause of feeding the least of these, taking care of the least of these. The mayors need that. They need it. So the social workers are seeing so much devastation in their own municipalities that they need to help. And here we're trying to find these people to where we can come in and to help. So with the Better Life program, we are able to go in with our initial visit to visit, like on Thursday, we'll visit 10 homes, and we'll have a 25 pounds worth of food in a bag. And we'll take that food, and then we'll talk to the people. And myself, the team from the municipality, the team from, I could not remember the name of that ministry right now. It's a women's ministry. They'll all be together when we go in. And we'll look to see what's needed. And from that, some of the homes they need to be torn down. But we try to be able to salvage the old house and then make a new block house with concrete floor and with metal rafters, metal roofing. And we can do that for the price of it's about $3,000, and we pay for half of it. The mayor agrees to pay for the other half. And so we could actually start at that point of having that house, having running water, being able to have facilities for them to be able to use the restroom, to be able to have some type of sewage system with that, to be able to have a place to take a shower, and to be able to have a place to wash their clothes. That's huge in itself when it comes to hygiene. Mm-hmm. And then from there, with the food, we try to get these people engaged back into school. So what we set up with not the current president, but the last president of Honduras, is that we could have a school in any building inside the municipality now, because it's decentralized. And going through the EAR program, it cost us about $27 a year, $27 for the whole entire year to send these people to school in their own village, their own community.
Which the price is nothing for the value.
The price is nothing. But the big thing is that before they were dropping out because they were having to walk 2 hours, 3 hours. We even saw people join the program that had been tried to walk for 3.5 hours. But if you want to look at that, that is 7 hours of walking time. There's no way. They're not into the environment of learning.
There's no accessibility. That's one of the issues, because many times when we say accessibility is that there's not the tools, there might be no structure for them to get provided with an education, but other times, besides thinking of how to get them a proper education, also the accessibility and reaching out these people, like in this sense. Mm-hmm. Imagine you can plan the school, getting the teachers, all of the structure that you have to manage. And on top of that, sometimes there's commuting issues for people. So I think the word accessibility sums it up. There's a lot of lack of accessibility to opportunities in all of these poor communities.
Yes. So we had a 28-year-old come back to 7th grade. That sticks out to me of all the things of the school, is that how much he wants an education, that he would come back into 7th grade. Because we look at it at what they're doing. What are they already doing? So we work around that, and we work around their harvest times, all the different things that would pull them out of school because they need to work. Mm-hmm. Bottom line is, we see all kinds of programs here now where they're trying to stop child labor. I worked my whole life, and most people in the United States, most people I know, have worked even when they were a child, because it's part of being part of the family. And these people need to work to be able to make the money for the family. Mm-hmm. So we need to put the schedule of the school system around this
adapt
community.
To their reality, and not wanting their reality to adapt to our ways of thinking.
Correct. And then a 8-year-old that was actually leaving for the United States. He was 8 years old. And he looked at me and told me, "So you're going to educate me through high school?" "Yes." "You want to educate me through collegiate?" "Yes." He goes, "Then I can go work inside the fields beside my brother, who's already graduated from all those programs." True statement. So we can get them to education, but then what? That's why we have to look at what they're doing and what they're skilled at. I told you the hammock story. The one lady could make a nice hammock. So we ordered all those hammocks. Before long, within a few months, we had a complete corporation going on within that community, bringing out all these hammocks. And that still goes on to this day, because they're making them very inexpensive. But however, they were having people from Tegucigalpa come pick them up for whatever she made. And she had no idea the value of her project.
Or how to move it.
Or anything. So she just had to be taught these things. And now she's doing a great works. So that's what we want to do for every community. In some places, there's just nothing going on there. You cannot help them any more than where they are unless we bring in a new manufacturing, a new product, a new something for them to make for us to bring back out. Now, we're not going to get into the commerce of it all, but however, we do want to teach them business 101, accounting 101, and how to be an entrepreneur. We have plenty of people in our circle of friends that knows exactly how to do that. And with that, that's going to bring up these communities. And the mayor's on board with us. We are getting grants to do it. It's just, I feel like the right direction for us to go is to stop the cycle. We have to stop the cycle in everything we're doing. And how do we actually build them up to where they can take care of themselves? How do we get a mom in a house with a special needs child making $5 a day? That's not a whole lot to ask, but it's a whole lot to mom, because she could feed her family on that. Because when you step into a house and there's only one tortilla left in the whole house, and mom has 4 kids, and she has sliced that tortilla up 4 ways. I've told you that story before, and I'll tell it many more times. That's our purpose.
And I think that is the complex part of bringing up a solution, that all factors need to be taken into account. Like you said, using your example, sometimes if we don't take all of the factors into account and we don't see the context in which the people live in, a partial solution might not solve the issue, because, okay, you give them the education, but then you don't have the structure where those resources you provided or those expertise can be put to work, right? So it's addressing the issue, especially in a context like Honduras, which is generational poverty, generational underdevelopment, lack of education. You have to address it in the first step, the second step, along the way, and look at the whole picture, look at the whole scenario. And like we mentioned, adapt to the context to truly make an impact on the people. I think with the example you gave about the hammocks, sometimes in here, commerce or a product that the people already buys, right, adapted to the market that they are in, or in the case of trades, which we discussed the other day, sometimes because of the position where Honduras is right now in development, a trade is much more demanded than some other added value skills. And we have to strive to get to a place where added value labor is required, right? For the future, for the long run, but also address the needs of the immediate needs of the population. And I think that's where it gets tricky, because you have to contemplate things in the short term, midterm, and long term.
Correct. And you have to, we do look at what is the highest demand right now. And so we can see the highest demand of products in Honduras, and we can cater to that. But however, what does the future bring? And what is products that are very, using the word hot, in other developing countries? And we can look at that and see that we can implement that here as well. But the biggest thing is to always remember that when we think that we're looking at the big picture, is to know that we're missing many pieces of that puzzle.
Yep.
There's many pieces of that picture that we are not seeing. So we have to be willing to open up and hear the people on what they want to do. And that is the hardest thing, is to really just to understand their own goals, their own desires. And we want to be there for them, especially in these type of communities, to help them any way we can to launch out and to make their dreams come true, especially if it's going to raise the economy for that community and the entire municipality. We have to remember that Honduras is the size of the state of Tennessee, just the state of Tennessee. And if we have programs that's reached every community of Tennessee, we can do it here as well. And what it's going to take is not as much as, like I was talking to you the other day, not as much about money as it is about the people willing to put themselves through some of the things that you and I put ourselves through to get to one of these communities. And that is the missing portion of our ministry right now, is the people that have that heart to actually get out there and to be able to do this type of work. So I am thankful beyond measure that we have so many people from Honduras willing to do this. And right now, Laura and I left. We left the country and left them with it. And our Honduran friends were able to pull off the brigades absolutely 100% on their own. And they did a great job of it. That is a huge payday for me on the first quarter of this year, is to be able to see that done, because that's what we want. We don't want a ministry to be circled around an individual. We want it to be a movement, and a movement of Honduras helping Hondurans.
You know, that's one of the things that I like, that I presenced and that I got by intuition, because I love every helping hand we can get, and everything is appreciated, blessed, loved. But how good it is when Hondurans take care of other Hondurans, because many times out of lack of opportunities or tough backgrounds and scenarios, people live in survival mode, and they sometimes act on the worst upon their behaviors, and they start bringing each other down. So getting to experience or be present in a scenario where Honduras are helping other Hondurans, it was fulfilling personally to me as a Honduran, because a lot of times I think, and like I said, it is very well appreciated, and I am so thankful, but it's overpowering to see and know this is our people, right? We should be doing something about it. And when I say we, I mean educated people, educated Hondurans, or Hondurans that have had a different reality, a different context, different opportunities for their benefit, to take care of the people that, the least of these, the people that didn't have the same scenarios, that didn't have the same circumstances, to actually put their hearts to it. And like you said, there is a great sense of fulfillment when your vision, when your works are part of a greater cause, and much more when you feel that bond of, whether it be a family member, whether it be a fellow from the same country. We have a word in Spanish, compatriota. The word in English doesn't come to my head right now, but brothers in country, brothers in nation, right? And we should be the ones, or the people that have had different accesses and opportunities, just because we have to bring honor to those opportunities, just because we have to have that consciousness or awareness and recognitions of the opportunities we've had, to look at the ones that haven't and bring a hand, bring a helping hand, and do something about it. Because for me, the complex matters. I see it in what you're mentioning. I also see it in what Dalton is doing as a ministry. Is many times because of the lack of education, because of the lack of expertise, or the underdevelopment that carries through this generational poverty segments of the population, a lot of the times it's a different programming. So even though you might teach them how to sell wood, for example, how to do this, how to manage money also becomes an issue. What to do with that money, how to think about money, how to view resources, how to think in a way that you want to multiply those resources and where to allocate them in the future. And I think that's the important part of having an integral process, that you can not only teach them how to fish, but what to do with that fish, how to make that harvest, that fish multiply, where to allocate it in a proper. Sometimes even educated people don't do the best practices, right? But when you speak with someone that haven't had or has not the same education as a standard educated person, that becomes a hindrance, because you need to address the matter in a more complex way, in a way that you not only give them the resources, but you teach them how to make the resources and how to multiply them and how to administrate the resources, which is one of the things that comes with education. And I think I get the sense that you share this with me. When you get to these communities, of course, there's an immediate need that needs to be met. And that's what we do with the bag of food. That's what we do with the houses. However, in the long run, right? What's the solution for this? It's an overpowering feeling when you're in the midst of a mud floor house with sticks as walls, broken tin as roof. And you start thinking, okay, how do we get these people to a point that they don't need to be handed a bag of food, but they can by themselves find the ways to provide for their family?
It is a challenge. It is. And we have multiple avenues that are flowing as we speak on being able to give that mom that cannot leave the house somebody that has the skills of carving, to give them the money and the tools to start doing the spoons, the wooden spatulas, wooden kitchen stuff, to be able to take paste and make it into different types of things to where there would be a demand for it. And it's just like you said, you hit the nail on the head. We can actually teach them Business 101, supply and demand, and how to do that. But however, when we fail to teach them Finance 101, accounting, how to forecast, how to reserve to actually purchase future product when there is no paste right now. There is no fabric rolling in at the moment. There is whatever it is that's holding up business. How do we actually put it in reserve for that? And that's what we have to continue to teach them. And we get that as they're going through the EAR program. And when they finish that up, before they can actually start into a vocational program. We have a lot of mayors in Amman. When we had that big meeting, they argued that all we need right now is vocational school. Well, what the man is saying is true. But however, without the education, they can start the vocation and get the micro loan, and then all the money's gone because they cannot move any further because they spent it. Because once you get it in hand, you go out of control. So they have to be taught these things along the line, and a basic education is required. A business, financial, accounting, all that education is required, even if we're just dealing in the 101 arena. But they need to have a education on how to handle their money and how to run their business. And we have people that are out there right now, and they're working for any. They came through the electrical program. This came out of Soledad, where there was nothing. And we had a guy from New York come, and he actually taught. And these people are working, and they're doing well. He taught them how to actually do the work, and then we taught them how do you actually run your business. And these things will work, but however, the problem is for the NGO is that this is time, and time is our most valuable commodity. How can we multiply to the point that we can actually teach these things? My volunteers right now, so we're close to 200 volunteers, but most of them are in a specialty area. They're doing gynecology, they are there doing dental, they're medical, they're translators, they're drivers. They are these type of people. They're not somebody that's going to be able to teach business 101 or entrepreneurship. So that's where the problem comes in for us.
They're performing a role to assist the immediate need. However, also for the long-term solution, I see what you're saying, right?
Yes.
There needs to be people that invests not only fulfilling a role for the immediate need, but also in the long-term process.
Yes.
People that adds up or join in, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct. So we could have the people here, like we're one of the people that we are partnered with is INFOB. They could actually teach a whole lot, but still yet we need those people that understand business, because we have plenty of organizations out here teaching, and the people walk away with that talent, but they have no clue how to run a business. They have no clue how to forecast, how to save their money. They've never been taught it before. And this is a requirement, or else what we're going to do is teach somebody a trade, give them a micro loan, and then watch them fail.
Yeah, and get into a deeper pit than the one that they were in at the beginning.
Correct.
And you know what? One thing I do think is key, elemental, that because of the context, corruption has been big here generationally. So even the soft skills, right, being the moral values, which is where I think the spiritual aspect of things serves a great purpose, teaching them how to live by a standard, teaching them good practices, or in my case personally, my relationship with the divine, my relationship with Christ has grounded me a lot of times where I have wanted to go astray, or where I've had gone astray, and getting me or pulling me back. And here we have a rough scenario because there's a rough context where a lot of malpractices people have gotten used to it, and that's what propagates, and that's what becomes the norm, and it becomes normal. And I do believe the word speaks about it on balancing ways, or having different balances, corruption, right? Not doing good by the reference, by the standards. I think those soft skills also need to be part of those programs. I don't know what's your stance on that, in the sense of getting all of the bad wiring out, whether that be lack of education, or whether that be miseducation or malpractices that have been installed in the society and in the community, and how to take hand in hand the academic and the technical and theoretical with also the moralistic, or the good practices, the soft skills, which in a sense I do think they translate as revenue, they translate as prosperity, they translate as doing good. Because if I do good by my neighbor, the community prospers. If the community prospers, I prosper. Have a collaborative sense, keeping empathy and kindness, and keeping all of these soft skills or intangible manners in your mind whenever you're doing business, whenever you're doing whatever you're going to do. It is very important. And I think a moralism or counter values have installed deeply in the roots of this country, and that's one of the factors of the solution also. Mm-hmm. Teach them how to do good by your neighbor, how to do good by your family, how to be responsible, how to strive to be a better human being, how to be a better fellow, a better neighbor.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're correct. Absolutely correct. And that's why everything we do, we try to make sure everything is on the platform of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we know that we could change nobody. We know that I cannot instill goodwill into anybody. But however, we know the one that can. And so that's what that we teach. We try to get them everybody plugged into a good church. That is one of the things that's the hardest for us as well, is finding a good church. What I mean by that, just to go ahead and throw it on the table, is that we was in a municipality. On that brigade, I think there was like 76 people that made professions of faith, and we plugged them into a local church. And I ran into one when we was doing Better Life program, and I asked her how it was going at the church, and she said she could not afford to get in. I said, "What do you mean you can't afford to get in?" "Well, the pastor stands outside on the sidewalk, and you can't go through the door unless you pay to go in." So we do our best to actually get the people plugged into a good ministry. But however, you see how we operate. We come back and we continue the Better Life program, and we continue to see these people. But at the same time, we cannot see them all. Mm-hmm. So when we do make our way back in and we see them, we try to encourage them. But we need them to be into a good church. And there's a lot of churches here in Honduras, a lot. But a lot of them are not, and it's the same way in the States. Mm-hmm. They're not having Bible studies. They're not having these training programs. They're having a message on Sunday morning, and they're having a message on Wednesday night, and that's all they're doing. And to us, we're trying to get ourselves in there with other people coming from the States that have volunteered to do so, to come in and to actually teach lordship and to actually work with men and women alike to actually teach them the ways of God and who He is and the example of Jesus Christ and the commandments which He made, that will actually, hopefully, and we know it will, if they are truly born again, the Holy Spirit will start transforming their spirit into the likeness of Jesus Christ.
And in a context where mayhem has been the norm, or where lack of institutionality, lack of order, it becomes more evident why sometimes we need what you mentioned, lordship. Even though there's a lot of unbelievers that might listen to this, or there's people out there that don't profess our same faith, when you have gone so sick as a society, when you have gotten so sick, when you have gotten to the other end of the spectrum, hey, even if you don't believe, if you read at the teachings that Jesus Christ professed, right? I mean, loving one another, doing good by others, it becomes a necessity. It becomes a necessity to have that lordship, to have that North Star, to have that frame of reference. Because whenever our theory, our erroneous theory of doing whatever we want, removing any sort of parameters, hits the practice, which is what I think has happened here in Honduras. There's been a lot of parameters removed, a lot of corruption installed. You see that we need a reference. We need something to strive for. Otherwise, people do whatever they want in the way they want it, and you can see the effects that it has as a domino effect, right? As a cascade on the whole society. And years along the road, you end up with a situation like the one Honduras is in. Over 60% of the population in poverty, very few of them educated, and that is a multiplicator effect in the good, for good and for bad, right? If in the case of the bad, I mean, poverty brings lack of education. Lack of education is gonna, if you don't know how to manage yourself, right? What we're talking about, you might not be able to provide or to be a more functional citizen. That's gonna mess with you in the sense that you're not gonna be able to provide for your family. You're gonna, which is what we see here, people living in survival mode, which puts you in a primitive, like a primal state, where you think the abundance of the other is your lack, when there's enough for everyone to have what they need. There's a phrase that I like: there's enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed, something like that. And when we allow this lack of order or this mayhem to enter, a lot of people maybe have not been in contexts like Honduras, but you and I can witness how I do believe, I don't want to use the word balance, but it's not good for someone to control you, right, all the way on the end of the other spectrum, but it's not good to have no sort of direction or no sort of order, because on both ends of the spectrum, you're going to see these excesses. You're going to see these situations that make life tough, not only for the individual, but for the community as a whole. And that's where crime starts to increase. That's where all of these other counter values start to increase.
Well, we've seen communities come together, though, right? So we see when we get there,
division. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Division is one of the ones. When you have this mentality, when you have this corruption installed, because you mentioned unity, division gets installed, and that a kingdom without unity, a divided kingdom, will not prosper.
Yes, correct. But there's no way we can fix that. Okay. So, but we do know one thing is that everywhere we go, they're hungry for the gospel, and when we feed them that gospel, and the word itself is what cuts them like a knife. And it's the word itself that starts bringing forth the unity, because there is unity in the Spirit. And the Spirit does bring order back to things. And so we've seen that. We've seen communities start coming back up. And we see that they are no longer that extreme poverty community, and they are poverty raising up at this point in time. They're still in poverty. Mm-hmm. I mean, but however, they're not in that
They've
extreme
moved a step further.
poverty. And what's that from? That is from just their acceptance of Jesus Christ, the receiving of that Holy Spirit, and that Spirit changing who they are. Because we can't change anybody. Mm-hmm. We can't. We can come in with all these great speeches, all this stuff. They're short-lived. But however, the Spirit is eternity. And that is what changes people. And that's why we continue to do what we're doing every weekend, going into a different municipality. And when we just came from La Ceiba, we're going to Zacatecas, then we're going to Intabuca, then we're going to Copan, and then we're going to, I cannot remember. So there's another one on the calendar. And we're there every week. So we're not with the same people all the time. But what we do on or Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays is that we go back out into these communities and we deliver food, and we see how the kids are doing. We see who those that's in very severe poverty that have no food, the mom that has nothing. We're able to go back to them. And not just myself, but just different members of the team are taking off these food bags. And that is where we get to see change. They know that we're not just there one time. We're coming back in, and we're going to support them and their pastor to be able to actually, and that's another thing, some of the pastors to actually meet at the pastor that has been in a church for years, but we come in and help them learn to share their faith. Mm-hmm. So we're thankful that these people accepted Christ and they want to start up a church, but at the same time, they're not getting support. They're not being fed. And we see a whole different path that we are going to be addressing, in which we are. That's why we have gotten involved with Scott, getting involved with Jim, getting involved with all these different people that's going to come in and help us do that. And that is going to help us bring forth change, because like you're saying, all these things exist, all these different cultures, and people in a culture of trying to take what is not theirs. Mm-hmm. And then all these other people trying to find a shortcut to wealth. And then all these other people just living in a state of desperation because they cannot feed their child. And then all these women on the streets because they're in a state of desperation because they cannot feed their child. We can only address that one step at a time. Mm-hmm. And that's to come in with that food bag, come in with the gospel, and then start addressing and bringing it up slowly. And once you start bringing that part of the community, then other people join in. And then we have other Hondurans join in. And then the mayor joins in. Then the social workers join in. Then we've had INFOB join in. We've had COPECO join in. And it just keeps happening, pouring in to where a community is coming up. And changing from the youth up. Because some people up here, they cannot see that there's any need in their life because they're living within their own cardboard box. And this is the way they see life, is in their desperation, and they're going to take what they need.
So you, from what I'm getting, one of the things you believe in is starting from the ground up, going to the very least, and then start some inertia, so that people starts adding up and wanting to join, setting an example.
Correct.
Setting an example.
Yeah.
How has that process looked like in the practical aspect? Because I know you mentioned it broadly, but you've lived it many, many times, and you can take it for granted, but it's a great movement. It's tough when you look at it as a third party. How was those first steps? How then God start putting people along the way? Where does it look in a mature state?
Having the right people ask questions like you just did. So starting out with that first president of a community, and then the mayor seeing what we're doing in that community, and that mayor mentioned it to the people at Info or at Amon. Me coming in and speaking to, like, there was 100 and some people in Amon on what we're doing, and then the invitations start rolling in what we are doing, and then we get more and more invitations, and we go out and we just do the same thing. We don't change. We start out asking the mayor to take us to the least of these, and from that we get people within that community jumping on board. And what I mean by that is like coffee companies jumping on board, other manufacturing firms jumping on board, the military see what we're doing, and next thing we know, there's a captain there talking to us and wanting us to be on board with them. Then the police is asking us to come to DPI down here and have brigades for them. And so it just keeps growing, and we keep getting more and more people involved. And the more people involved is what we need to be able to make the change.
Question, because first I had the impression like you speak with a community leader and then you set up a brigade, but has it happened, or maybe that's the norm? Do you first start doing the labor and then people start asking questions and then people start joining? Because when you were talking right now, this analogy came to my mind when people say, whenever your car breaks down and you start asking for help with your thumb, maybe not anyone's going to stop. However, when you start pushing your car and people start see your effort, then people start joining to push with you. I don't know if that has happened.
Yeah, it does. I mean, but however, we do start out with the invitation from the mayor. Mm-hmm. The mayor's office normally sends us the invitation, and then we will come in and we'll have the brigade first. And during that brigade, the mayor normally comes and sits down like we are right now, talking about what we do. And then he gives us an invitation to come back, to go out and to do better life. And then that's when we go in and see all of the poor people, the poorest of the poor, the least of these. And sometimes you sort of regret it because the roads sometimes they're not roads at all. Yeah. I mean, there's not even a road there. Yeah, but and then once you finally park, then you get to walk for 2 miles. And we did one time like that, walk 2 miles, and we get in there, there's 24 homes back in there. And they told us there's only 5, so we only brought 5 bags of food. And it was total devastation. But once we do this type of stuff, then when we go out to these villages, then he sends a social worker. He sends all of these people. And we, the ministry of the woman, all these different ministries join in with us when we walk and we go. And that's when people start getting on board. And then they start talking about and putting it on Facebook of what we're doing. And then more people come on board. And so that's why we have so many doctors and so many dentists, is people coming on board for this movement to be able to actually make change to the least of these.
In that initial invitation, is it random sometimes? Is it by chance? How? Because we know there's something behind it, right? There's someone behind it. Mm-hmm. But has that happened most of the times where the invitation is random, or is there a first approach? How are these invitations made?
We ask sometimes how they heard about us. Normally, they've heard about us at Amon. They've heard about us because the mayor of Tutuli mentioned it to another mayor, and that's why I love the most is that a lot of the mayors are not trying to grasp on as we are their missionary group.
Mm-hmm.
It just really doesn't happen at all.
They're trying to project the help, and
because they see that we are going to help them with the 10 of the poorest this year. And so right now we have 6 municipalities, 60 homes in some state of development, and that will continue on like that. And so we are going to be going into another municipality for the first time, not this coming weekend, but the next one. And we'll be looking at doing the brigade there. And then from there, we'll take an invitation to come in and to look at 10 homes for them. And it's 10 because we're going to be there for a couple of days, and it's hard to get to 10 homes. It doesn't sound like much, but sometimes it can take a half a day to get to one, and we can't do 10 at all. There are sometimes we go in and we only get to 6 homes, so forth, so on. And
which gives you a grasp of the tough reality some of this community is living, right? Like just the commuting part of it.
Oh, yeah. But like I told a complainer, one of my complainers that came down from the United States, we're not going to find the least of these on a paved road.
Yep.
Not going to happen.
You're right.
So
You're right. The toughest, the better, in a sense. Because maybe you're an answer to a prayer they made that morning. Imagine, like, what better testimony than someone showing up in a place where you wouldn't expect someone to show up because it is tough just getting there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the ways that God works, or at least
Correct.
what I believe.
You just nailed it. So we have a lady that we walked. I mean, we was all wet with sweat. And it was just, to me, I was just about to sit down. And I noticed that she froze in the door. So I walked up just enough time to capture just a little bit of it on my GoPro. She was coming up off her knees. She thought she had collapsed, but she was actually on her knees praying that the Lord would send food somehow or another, and just crying out to him. And when she raises up, she sees the bag of food in the doorway.
And here we are thinking it's all a coincidence, right?
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it raises the hair on my arms, and that's just how God works.
Yes. And when you mention the momentum that gets built up along the way, it's evident that, at least what I believe, God is behind it. Mm-hmm. Because there's no other way that invitations come from here, then you get deployed there, and all of this starts to... people start joining. I mean, it becomes like a snowball effect. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you have in your hands something bigger than what you expected.
Correct. A lot bigger than what we expected. But God will send the right people, the right leadership. And I think that it'll still grow even larger because we are not going to run out of work anytime soon.
The harvest is plenty.
That's right.
And so Better Life, the project Better Life itself, it's after the first contact of having the medical brigades, and then you come in and sow and invest in the community, in education. What does it consist of? Well,
once we come into the community and we actually bring in the food, then we look at the house. We make sure that the person owns the property. And then from there, we keep the existing wood house that's rotting down just for a kitchen area. It's already got the stove built inside of it because we have to get the children out of the smoke. There's laying there that you can put in the best chimney out of it. But however, mom pulls the wood out to cool it off, right? And when she pulls it out, it's no longer going out the chimney. It's going into the house. And so we noticed that in a brigade that 2 kids came and their whole nostrils were caked with soot. And so the ash was just all up into their sinuses. So with that, we started a program of building this 16 by 12 concrete floor, cinder block walls, poured cinder block in the corners, metal rafters, and metal roof. So it's going to be a lifetime house for. With that,
that's going to preserve for a longer time. I mean,
that's going to stay much longer. I mean, the adobe blocks that we built 10 years ago are in the same shape that they were in. The wooden ones that we built are gone or need to be replaced. So moving on with that, then once we do that, then we start looking at the educational program. How far do these people have to walk? How many seventh graders do they have? And sometimes when we say how many seventh graders do they have, that can go back 4 years of people graduating sixth grade, which is no longer legal, but it was graduating sixth grade. So at 12 years old, they're having to leave and go get a job. And that's a whole different podcast when we get into the human trafficking portion of this. But getting them to actually stay with a little bit of hope, while bringing the hope and light to the community, then we could start doing the educational. And I sponsor a school myself, 7th grade. 40 seventh graders cost me a little over $2,000. And here we got people was giving $45 a month for education when it's literally $25 to $27.50 per person. Collegio right now is $90 a year. That's 10th, 11th, and 12th, the last 3 years of their school. And then the vocational program is people coming down from the States that are professionals at what they do to pour into the lives of a small group. And we do that in their village. We don't bring them to Santa Ana. We go to them. We believe educating them in their own area by doing is the way to go. So once we do that, then we start opening up more with the church and more with Bible study and growing up that direction. And then we have the moms that we deal with, and we really are trying to push our own brand to start after the summer rush. So the August, September timeframe, we're really going to pour into that. And of course, we'll also be looking at expanding our friends' brand as well for whatever we can do to help him. So that is the way that we are functioning as far as this first quarter and second quarter. And we go through seasons. I mean, we're doing things one way now, and God opens doors, puts things in that just restructures us a little bit. But however, it's all been amazing, and He gets all the glory for what's happening at this point.
It is amazing. It is amazing because it's a significant change and help. From what I'm getting, just recapping, it starts with providing sustenance, right? Nutrition, food. Then once you get an inn, housing, which is a roof, shelter, a very worthy shelter, which I want to get a little bit into that just to see how long does it take for a house. But just finishing the recapping, providing the shelter, and then the goal is to also implement an educational system in a way that you can educate these people for them to do a living themselves, right? For them to sow back into in the community, or for the sow that's been done in that community to have a harvest for the future. And you're addressing the elementary kids, you're also addressing high schoolers, and you're bringing vocational teachers to teach them trades so that they can make a living then out of it. So it's a very whole and complete process.
Correct.
And education, shelter, and food are the main sources.
Yes, but we also have to put in that first stake. That first stake is the brigades. The brigades consist of we had this past weekend, we had 8 dentists, and some of those are cleaning teeth. Mm-hmm. Some of those are filling teeth, and then we have a few people extracting teeth.
That's the first contact, right?
That's first contact.
Brigade. But yes, the end goal is to be able to sow into the community. Correct. Through the Better Life program. Correct. Okay. Correct. So and that's the entire community, the entire municipality. Actually, we try to hit every one of the communities of the municipality. We've actually been in San Ignacio, which is fairly close to here, Francisco Morazan. We had a lady that walked. She said she walked 2.5 hours with her kids on her side. And we were about to close. As a matter of fact, the guard told her that we were closed. But I understood what she said. So I walked up and I said, no, let's let this person come in. So I went over to somebody from the municipality. And I said, she says she's walked 2.5 hours. Can you just go ahead and verify that? And he walked back up to me and said, it's not true.
it would take me an hour and 15 minutes to drive there. She's confused on how long it took her.
So it was longer than that.
Yes, longer than that. And
with 2 kids.
with 2 kids. And then we were about to turn her away. And then it turned out that both kids had fevers. Both kids were very sick. And so it took us a while longer to treat those. But that's how far somebody will come to get help. And
to get basic medical, what for some people is basic or they take for granted. People see it as a gift, as they make a sacrifice just to get the aid.
What you just said brought up something. We have, out of the 72 special needs kids, we have a large group, and I want to say over a dozen, where the kids were fine at 3, 4, 5 years old. But they got a fever. Mom has no help at all. She has 3 other kids. So she allows this child to get over it herself. So I asked the mom, how long was the child in bed? And her response was the bed probably stayed wet 4 days. And then the child she now needs help. Now a special needs child. Why? It's because the fever is so bad.
Something that could be addressed at the moment.
By 1 Tylenol, 50 cents. So now everybody has the phone numbers to call because they have the cell phone. Almost everybody now has a cell phone. Somehow or another, that's one thing that almost every family has is one cell phone.
It's amazing how lack of access can make something that might be a simple solution become such a complex problem in the end.
Yes. And that one child, she has pictures of the child playing, but now she rocks with the radio on. You turn the radio off and she'll go into convulsions. Turn the radio back on, she's fine.
And it all started with a fever.
Right. All started with a fever. And we have it. It's untelling what the numbers are. It's untelling. It's just like spending a lot of time researching on how many kids drop out and don't go beyond 6th grade. 2017, when we finally got this passed, there was over 500 kids that did not promote in 2017. So no education. We're not going to prosper. We're never going to change Honduras until we address that. But along the way to get a child educated, we have all these other things.
Like health, like getting them healthy.
Yes.
Getting them
hygiene, proper
nutrition.
hygiene. Giving them, to watch a child not know what to do with a toothbrush at the age of 4. Never seen a toothbrush before? We see it all the time. And so that is where we are right now in this country. We are still, I like the way you put it a while ago, a developing country. And we are getting there to being a developing country for sure.
We discussed with the doctor we had previously how in that we were discussing nutrition, how it might not seem related for some people. Some others that know the technicality behind it, they know it's not only related, but it's fundamental and basic. Nutrition. If they're not fed, how are they going to pay attention? All they can think about is eating, right? Or if they don't have the appropriate nutrients, phytonutrients, macronutrients, how are they going to be able to think properly, reason properly? They're going to live in primal states, mentally speaking.
Correct. And that's the way it is in a lot of places here in Honduras.
Most of places, I would say.
Well, correct. But we have those that I don't know if we have a standard of very severe poverty or not, but there is some places to where they have no clue of the outside world. And I had the president of one of those places say, please don't bring it in. I said, what? Bring in the health care, bring in the dental care, but leave the electricity and all the junk of the United States where it should be. It took me a minute. It really, I was like, what is this guy saying? Maybe we got a bad translation going on here. Now I get it.
He didn't want the contamination, the culture contamination, or what do you think he meant?
He did not want the junk of our social media.
Mm-hmm.
And
the
some
culture.
some of our normal watching TV shows that has a rating of R when I was a child, so forth, so on. That's what he's saying.
He doesn't want the atrophy.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
So you come in with the medical brigades, and one of the things that I liked when I've had the pleasure, the opportunity, and the honor of serving alongside you guys is the importance you give to, like, this matters. Okay, so in the case of dental, let extraction be the last resources, but we're not here to pull out teeth. We are here to see how we can fix the solution in the best way possible, which it shouldn't be that way. But sometimes when you're giving something away, I mean, you expect for people just to be appreciative of what you're giving, but taking it a step further and actually wanting to give something that has quality, even though you're not getting profit out of it, even though it's a donation, even though you're giving it for free, but knowing who are you giving it to, right? Knowing it doesn't matter if it's a customer or if it's someone that is there to receive it for free. It matters that we're dealing with human beings. It matters that the children of God matter. The list of these matters. What we're doing here matters. I like that you bring all of this fancy equipment. The first medical brigade, I remember. You even brought a power stabilizer, I think, in the case that they wouldn't have the electricity or the power supply to juice up your machines. Am I correct?
Correct.
There
yes.
was even a power stabilizer. That was a testimony for me because, I mean, that's giving the extra mile. That's putting in the work. That's because we hear this culturally, putting in the work for something that has an immediate benefit, but doing it for the benefit of others, or looking at the intangible value and for it to matter, even regardless of it being free or it being paid, putting in that work, finding the best ways to do it, finding the ways to improve quality, even though you're in the midst of something that's nonprofit, having that same mindset. Okay, as I want to be the best business guy, I also want to provide the best type of aid, even though people might not be in a place to appreciate what they are receiving, but you know what you're giving, and just taking the time of whatever you're giving, of it being the best, of making sure it is the best we can give.
And it's not only me. I mean, that's not my policy. That's the whole entire team, the Honduran team,
Yes,
want to pour forth the best that they could possibly do. And I mean, we actually even carry the equipment to do root canals. We don't in the field, but we could actually see and recognize the need and get them to come back to the clinic. You know, we're about to open Global Excel Clinic here in Tegucigalpa, which will be a follow-up clinic for just some of these things that we've already talked about, that is complications in the field that we don't do. And the reason I don't want them done is because that may tie up 2 dentists for several hours, and then we're going to have a lot of people in line that's not going to be treated. So let's treat what we can. That's why we start out looking at extractions, looking at those teeth that cannot be saved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's priority number 1. That's going to get taken care of. And then which teeth can we actually fill to be saved? Mm-hmm. That's number 2. And then we get into the cleanings and all the other stuff that people want when they come. But first of all, we have to take care of those things that can actually kill you. You know, an infection going to the brain can kill you. So we're going to take care of that type of stuff first. And that is just the way that we try to bring in the best care possible. Mm-hmm. We can actually filter out a long line of medical patients at the same time, the same way. When you have a mom come up and tell me that she has bone pain, and then the oldest child comes up and says they have bone pain, and then dad walks up and says he has bone pain, and then a 3-year-old walks up and for the best language he's got, he says he has bone pain. So they're wanting their medications, and we give it to them. I would rather for them to have that medication on the shelf.
Yes.
That could actually knock out
right
a
now
fever.
That they have access to it.
Yeah. And so let's just do it, because we have the medicine pouring in from the States. We have many organizations that's volunteering to give us medicine, and it's for the people. So let's give it to them. But however, it's like we had 120 medical patients before 10 a.m. on Saturday. And a lot of those may have been our just for medicine. They're really not sick now, but they're afraid of when it comes.
And who blames it? I mean, I would do the same thing. I would actually demand them to do that, because if now they have the access, if now they have the accessibility to them, it would be a little bit foolish not to take advantage of it because they feel good right now when maybe 2 weeks back they were suffering for something like we mentioned, something simple that could be addressed at the moment that can, because of lack of care, it could develop into something that it's more complicated.
Correct. That's why you see the pharmacy in an area all by itself. And there's 2 nurses assigned to the pharmacy. Okay. And their role is to actually educate them on what all they can use this medicine for. I mean, don't just talk to them, take 2 for the bone pain, and when the bone pain's, no, this could actually stop a fever. This could actually educate them on it, save them, make sure you keep them there. Don't go out and sell them. This right here could help you in the long run in many, many ways with yourself. And if it's going to be your child, make sure you break this in half for your child. They educate them on all these different things for the medicine that they are picking up.
Be present at the moment. Make every interaction matter.
Yes.
And you said extractions, fillings, you do cleaning, right?
We do descaling, we do instrument cleaning. So we have all that equipment in the field. Yes.
And in the medical, what are the procedures that are being done? Or
we have pediatrics, we have family medicine, we have gynecology.
And how can these people know when the brigades are going to happen in their community, or how can they access it, or what's their way of knowing that this is going on?
The mayor sends us the invitation, like I told you. Okay, as soon as we accept that invitation, he will start putting a weekly thing out there. And then so for like this week, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Zaguagapeca will have it all over their TV channels. It's posted in Central Salute. It's posted to Pulperias. It's just posted all over the place.
Okay, so you work with the municipalities, and the municipalities make a good job in making sure that the voice gets out, so that people can receive the assistance, right? And once you are in the community, whoever can receive, anyone can receive the help, right?
Correct.
Anyone can receive the aid, as long as they show up.
They'll come up, and if they want medical and dental and gynecology, then they'll get 3 numbers.
Okay.
They'll get 3 numbers.
And that's accessible. Do you know the name of the communities you have worked with, or the ones that you have that are right around the corner? If you can list some of them. I know we've done some work in Santa Barbara. There's also La Ceiba. Those are the ones that have been present, but I don't know if...
We have been in Choluteca. We've been in Saba Grande. We've been in New Armenia. We've been in Ojo de Agua, La Victoria, El Plantanel, Plan Grande. And I'm still south of Santa Ana, so this could go on for a long time. Talk about departments would be a whole lot easier. We've been all over El Paraiso, Francisco Morazan, Valle, La Paz, Santa Barbara, I'm forgetting the name, Gracias, Limpia, Copan. We've been in Omoa, Cortez, all along the north coast there. We went there because of the hurricanes, and we developed the relationships with the mayors when we was up there. And that's Saba. And then we've been in Alancho. We've been in with Francisco Marsalis, where San Ignacio's at. So, I mean, all over
the place.
I can't tell them.
All over the place, man.
I can't say a lot. I think that we have 4 departments that we have not been into yet. We can just say it that way. And we have made promises to Mesquitia, but however, it's just not happened yet. And
it's tough to get there. It's by boat or by plane, I think.
The government was taking us, but they were going to sit down and let myself and the doctors do this out and come back and get us. And that was just a big old question mark on the come back and get us. Yeah. And so I backed off because my people have clinics, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. And they have patients, so they have to go. And so with that said, with us taking off on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and getting picked up on Sunday, they couldn't guarantee it was going to be Sunday. Oh, yeah. So that's where we are with that. But if anybody's listening to this, we still want to fulfill that promise, and we'll do it at some point in time. I hear that there's now a road going in there, so I don't know about that yet. Mm-hmm. But we need to make it happen.
All right. And after the brigades starting to sow in the community or building roots in terms of relationships and also building an impact with the Better Life program, you mentioned the different modality of houses or different structure of houses than the ones that I'm familiar with, because I've normally participated in wooden houses. In regards to the time, how long does it take for a house made out of blocks to be built? What's maybe the differences? I know there has to be a lot, but in terms of logistics, maybe in time-wise, or the most remarked differences in building a concrete block house other than a wooden house?
Well, it depends upon the municipality. They're all different. Let's say Tatuli. Tatuli, the donor donates the money for the house. We send that money directly to Tatuli. We don't send it until the materials are on the ground. So they send a photo of materials on the ground. We see the money, and then we start getting pictures every day of it going up, because we don't do it personally. We believe in giving the job to the people of the community. That way, the family is getting blessed. The people within the community is getting blessed. The mayor is also, he's knocking something out because he gets a pat on the back. We don't get a pat on the back at all. And so we get those photos back. And normally it's pretty rapid. We've had two municipalities that the house didn't get built. So we have the punch in the back as well. But overall,
everything comes with, its downside.
Overall, in all the places that we're working, they move at different speeds on picking the material up. But once they start that first one and they see how fast we pay for it, and we see how fast we can put a house up, it starts moving. You get the ball rolling in every municipality. And
like everything, the first steps are the hardest, right?
Well, it's they're afraid to go by, and then they find out we're not real.
Yeah.
But however, the way I look at it is, I think Laura does a good job on communicating them.
She's great, man. She has her hands all over. And
everything. But she does a great job of getting references and getting people to call from other municipalities and say, hey, these guys are real. They'll actually do this for you. So that's the way we operate.
But that's good. I like the emphasis that you give, because there's a term in economics called in Spanish, at least, I'm going to try to translate it, the multiplicity, or maybe the multiplicity effect, efecto multiplicador, which is in commerce, when in this case, when you do a house, I like how the help multiplicates. It's not only, like you said, the house that's being built and blessing the family, but also the hardware store owner gets to move their products. The labor of Honduras gets to get some demand, and that way the construction workers bring some. They can provide for their family, and it's a way of multiplicating the help, of making the best out of what is available, right? Because there's a lot of ways to give, but you can put some brains into it. And in the end, if you align the right factors and you put everything in its place, which is what we mentioned or we discussed the other day, I like that approach, because you're trying to make the most efficient way of helping, in the sense that, okay, this help is being brought. How can this help in every part of the process bless someone along the way?
Correct. And so the donor. So the donor's done nothing, right? But however, they want to come down and they want to see the house. So they come down with their team. We allow them to bring the food to the house, to see the house, to circle around the house, to bless the house, and then go out to another municipality to see the least of these for the first time in their life. And then that impact that it makes on them for seeing that. And then they are sharing it with other people. And then we are getting checks from people that we don't even know who they are, and to be able to help more people, because they haven't worked, but they brought down the value of Jesus Christ that's in their heart. And that value that they are given now in going to house is more than the money that they gave to build a house.
Yes. It's like I said, I need to find a translation for this
Correct.
term. The multiplying effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing can kickstart so many others, and we never get to see the real impact. I have a friend called Marty that mentions that a lot. We never really get to see the impact until we're up there.
Correct.
We're gonna see the impact of what is actually being done. And one of the intangible benefits for me is what we mentioned earlier. When you make the Honduran people join, or when you grab someone that might have not been on their agenda, they didn't have the intention, but they get exposed to the experience by one way or the other. Maybe they work on the construction on a house, or they were interpreting, or they were driving, whatever. They get to be a part, even though regardless of what their role in the mission or what their role in the help being brought is, regardless of what their role is at the moment, they get to be a part of it. And that kickstarts something in their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
That activates something within their being. It might be something for the long run, something that changes or breaks them and changes their life and makes them change orientations, and which is what happened in my case. It started as a summer thing. It was one summer trip, and one way or another, it's grown into my heart, and I know God is behind that. But it might also be someone that just for the moment that they got blessed at the moment, they got to be present, and they got to experience what it is like to be there, not for their own personal interest, but to be there to meet the needs of others, or even be present to what a real need is. I have heard a lot of testimonies of people saying they used to complain because of this, they used to complain because of that, and then they saw the need or the lack in other person's life, maybe a much more extreme need, and the effect that it had on them was they can now be more appreciative of what they have. They can count their blessings. So one way or another, the impact that happens, we never get to see it.
That is true. But one day, like you said, we will. You've got to remember the last chapter of the Bible. He says that he will judge us for what we have done and what we have not done. Yeah. And that is the part that actually launched me into missions a long time ago on that, what we have not done. And I truly believe that as we walk here in Honduras every day, that if we keep our eyes open, we'll see where he's working. If we keep our ears open, we'll hear where he's needed. And that's what we need to do. And the biggest thing that I am blessed with when somebody comes down here is when they really, truly get to see the supernatural. And he always get all the glory.
Amen. How does the future look like for, or at least what you can grasp at the moment, because we never know, right? I mean, the future brings all of this, the uncertainty, but in a way, it's all orchestrated, right? But as per now, what's the vision that you see ahead for Excel Global, for the ministry? What are the challenges up front? What's in your mind?
Right now, we have several municipalities that give us land to actually build a clinic and a place to work and teach women and men as well. We are really pouring our hearts out to the Lord on what to do with this. We are going to start on a building in Waquito, La Paz. It's a very nice building, and it's going to start out being mainly just an area for follow-up for a lot that's going on in La Paz area. And we'll also start a place there, which will be a distribution center for the cloth and the products going out. And we have 2 people in that area that's going to come in. And we really want to focus on this one first, to really get it down pat.
Pilot project, yeah.
To where we actually see how well it's going to work.
Get it refined so that then you can replicate it.
Yeah, you're a smart man. And so we're going to be doing that. And then we have the automotive portion with Infob. And we are looking at a piece of land that we are on a purchase. I don't want to be in partnership with the mayor on this one, especially when we're doing classics. So we're looking at that. We have another team that's being formed up on the coast where we was at this past weekend, and we're hoping that we'll have that one nailed down for the 2025 year. We are going to continue teaching people about the feeding programs within the schools, because now we have the money coming in for every mayor to have lunch. So what we're needing more now is for people to actually, that's what the food bags are about. The food bags has a meal for the evening and a meal for the morning in every one of them, and that will last the majority of the month. And we are needing more people and seeing more people come about from different organizations, different NGOs that are willing to disperse these. And they're trusted people, and they're not just people that's going to take them and sell them or whatever. So we are really enjoying seeing more and more people come alongside of us, and for us to be able to come in and help other NGOs by having a brigade for them and letting people from the United States see what can happen within a municipality, because there's plenty of municipalities, and this can work in every municipality, and every NGO can do this in every municipality. So again, that's why I keep saying to people, this is a country the size of the state of Tennessee. We can do it, but there is a tremendous amount of work. And last year we had 45 teams. And hosting teams is tough. You've been there, you've done that. And to be able to have this many brigades, this year, I'm trying my best to reduce it. I would like to see it down to the 32 range, but however, be able to start launching out more teams and more leaders. And that way I could keep taking a step back. So this year for me is basically, to answer your question, is taking another step back to see what other doors the Lord's going to open that we may not have paid attention to, and see if we don't step through those and see how we can do more for the people of Honduras.
Deploying, building leadership, delegating.
Yes.
That, in a way, is growth.
Yes. I actually spent way too much time looking for that person to come from the States when they were right in front of me the whole time.
Alrighty. And if people would like to reach to you guys, what's your social media accounts for people to listen? How can they be part of the help? How can they assist you? What are the immediate needs of the organization? I know workers, people that join in is one of them. But
yeah, workers, and we are ready to expand in transportation. I know that may shock you for as many vehicles as we got, but we're needing to expand out in transportation. We are needing, I really don't want to, but I feel like it's time for us to get our own vans as well. We normally only deal in the 4x4 situation, but we're ready to expand out in that as well, to be able to have more people go out and deliver more food. And so I say that, and we've already been donated a Ford Excursion that will seat 9 people. That's 4-wheel drive that will go. So there's people from the States that have donated, and we need to get more of this rolling here. But right now, the honesty is that we are needing more people than we are needing money at this point in time. But we do, when the more people come in, we're definitely going to need a transportation for them. And just praying for more qualified drivers to come along to be able to do that.
When we say people, is drivers, dentists, doctors, what sort of help is in?
Oh yeah, we eye doctors. I'm praying for eye doctors to come around. We have the equipment ready to go, and the person that was doing that for us, there are situations where they cannot travel right now at this point in time, so we're needing more people that actually come in and do that. I just met an eye doctor, so I think the Lord may be opening up a door there, because she seemed pretty excited coming along. We are needing to get into more nutrition. The nutritionist person that we have got transferred, found a job up in Olancho and just way too far away. And is other rehabilitative services.
Okay.
We need those as well. We have had a huge focus along the way of just medical and dental, and finally we started gynecology, and we started the eye care, and we started to get into audiology. But we need, before we can announce that we're doing this, we need more than one person, because one person cannot go to every one of these places. So that's what we need to do, is make awareness. And I have, that's one of the points where I really fail, is publishing awareness of what we do.
What's your social media, man, so that people can?
Well, www.excelglobal.org. Excelglobal.org on Facebook is our hottest spot by far. And the same with Instagram. And then they can email us at mission@excelglobal.org.
Alrighty. Thank you for doing this. I'd like to close us up in prayer. Do you mind if I
appreciate it.
Father, thank you for Jimmy's life. Thank you for the work you have commended to his hands. Thank you for the blessing that you're providing. Thank you for the connections that you're providing. Thank you for the provision that you're providing. Thank you, Lord, for the prosperity you're granting to everything his hands touches. Thank you for every vehicle. Thank you for every professional. Thank you for every life that is being blessed through his life. Thank you for blessing his mind. Thank you for blessing his heart. Thank you for blessing his family. Thank you for blessing his ministry. May you keep doing it, Lord. May your favor, your grace be upon him. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, friend.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you for sticking till the end, guys. One of the greatest benefits that I found through the experiences in missions is the pleasure of being exposed to the beauty of my country, Honduras, and its culture, the reality and the circumstances of the Honduran people. And part of the purposes is to share this with you and with the world. I would greatly appreciate if you would subscribe to our channel, like this video, and maybe share it with someone that might be interested in watching whatever we do here to support this cause. Thank you.